Today, in our Camino and Coffee, we have the opportunity to talk with Penelope. She is an enthusiastic travel, foodie lover, and passionate person about Spanish culture and cuisine. Also, she's sharing with the public her blog, My Life on Vacation, every day,
Mhm.
where you can follow her to know more about the Spanish cuisine and, of course, the Galician cuisine, our favorite cuisine in the world.
Yes.
Penelope, thank you for sharing with us this time and congratulations for your blog.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk about Spain, Galicia, the Camino with you.
Of course, thank you. It's a pleasure to have people like you in this section in the Camino and Coffee. You started 6 years ago, right? With your blog.
With my blog, yes. Well, I had started my blog way before that, but I always had an idea to have a blog about travel, about food, and that kind of thing. But I never really got it going until I went to Galicia. Then I really had something to write about. So that's when I really started blogging. And I haven't been blogging recently, but I'm really looking forward to picking it up again and starting again because there's so much to talk about, so much to tell.
And why? Why Spain and why Galicia in particular?
So I've always loved Spain. I actually majored in Spanish in college.
Huh?
So yeah, so before I went to Galicia, before I did the Camino, I've actually visited Spain like 4 times.
Okay.
And we've done foodie traveling to Italy and France.
Uh-huh.
So once I discovered Galicia though, I found a place that I really loved. Before that, I always thought, oh, there's so many places to see. Every trip should be a brand new place.
Yeah.
But then you find a place that just, you really connect with, and then it's, oh, I want to visit this place again and again.
How did you discover Galicia?
Well, so I've always known about Spain. I've always, known about all the different regions. And in
Yeah.
my 4 trips before to Spain, I visited every place from Barcelona to
Yeah.
Madrid to
Uh-huh.
Sevilla, Alicante, Granada, San Sebastian, and a lot of places in between too.
Yeah.
So I knew that part of the country.
Okay.
And then and I'd always known about the Camino because I learned about it, I think, in high school. So I've always known about it, but so my first Camino was in 2014. So it was a few
Okay.
years before that where the idea of walking the Camino, really occurred to me. And then I started looking into it. And then finally I had the opportunity to go, and it was amazing.
Of course. What Camino did you choose in 2014?
So the first Camino I did was the Camino Inglés, the English
Okay.
route. And
Yeah.
so that's from Ferrol, which is in the
Yeah.
north of Galicia on the
Correct.
coast,
Mm-hmm.
and down to Santiago de Compostela.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next Camino I did was the Portuguese from the
Okay.
border of Portugal. So walking from Tui
Yeah.
up to Santiago. So basically between these two Caminos, I've walked the entire, length of Galicia, north to
Yeah.
south.
Yeah.
So, when you spend so much time, and I'm not a fast walker, I walk
Yeah.
slow. So I spent many days. And so just, walking in a place, you really, you develop a connection for it that way.
How many days did you take to walk the Camino Portuguese?
The Camino Portugues, I ended up walking 9 different days
Okay.
because I knew people in Galicia by then. I
Yeah.
actually did I took an afternoon off to go have a nice meal at a
Yeah.
Michelin
Exactly.
star restaurant.
Yeah.
And then I also took a couple of days off to go take a photography class in Ogrove.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. So
The
I had,
seafood paradise, right?
yes, exactly. And
Yeah.
we've been back to Ogrove many times, and we've been for the Festival de Mariscos. So
Oh, great
it's fun.
experience for sure.
Oh my gosh, amazing! Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the Portuguese way is one of my favorite ones as well. We are
Mhm,
running a new group in May
mhm,
next year
mhm.
for that route. It's really amazing to walk in the vineyards and a lot of good, great restaurants,
Yes,
Michelin stars. I saw a couple of them in your blog.
yes.
Uh, Probably you know much more restaurants that a lot of Galician people living there. So
Actually, that's what they tell me.
yeah,
They tell
yeah.
me that.
Yeah, and I love it. The explanation, just playing in a really exquisite way, the flavors of the plate. So yeah, I really love and enjoy the explanation about your experience walking this particular route.
Yeah.
So it's really amazing. Do you prefer, or do you think that this better way to visit Galicia as a foodie or as a pilgrim?
Honestly, I think ideally a person should do both. And I shouldn't say should, but a person can do both. You know, the Camino, the second Camino I did was less of an actual pilgrimage than my first one. The
Yeah,
first one I did was, I was really doing it as, as a pilgrim, dedicated to walking. The
yeah,
second one I did was, um, when you spend all day walking, you have a lot of time to contemplate and to think and have, kind of have that experience. And I think it's such a unique experience. And I recommend anybody to walk any of the Camino routes. There's so many
yeah,
different ones. Um, so ideally, I would recommend a person walk a Camino and have that experience. It is physically a challenge. And I think a lot of people really benefit from, after they're done with their Camino, to spend some time in Santiago. And as long as you're in Spain, as long as you're in Galicia, maybe then take advantage of some additional time for rest and relaxation and exploring the area, getting to know, the cuisine, the wine, and everything else. So it I've always recommended to people to go do your Camino and then rest and relax afterwards, and vacation afterwards.
vacation, restaurants, time,
Hmm.
quality time,
Yeah.
relaxing time, peaceful
and,
places.
and Galicia has everything. There's beaches on, two sides of Galicia is water, so there's a lot of
Yeah,
opportunities to spend time by the ocean. In the southern part of Galicia, where a lot of the winemaking happens, there's
yeah,
amazing countryside and mountains and
yeah,
incredible views. It's, there's just a lot of everything that you can find very close to Santiago de Compostela, like within an hour and a half drive. You could
yeah.
go
It's
from
a,
the sea to the mountains.
exactly. And talking about the food, what is the food you miss the most being here in the US that you ate in Spain?
So there's Spain, which is, so really for Spain, for me, just being able to get the delicious jamon any place you go is such a treat. Here it's just a little more difficult to come
Find it.
across some really good jamon. And if you
Yeah,
end up in a place that has the jamon, the whole leg where they're slicing it,
yeah,
you're going to have a good time. Otherwise, we have to
yeah,
buy packaged.
yeah. And this is talking about Spain in general. And talking about Galicia, which one?
Well, you might laugh, but I miss the Galician bread. The bread from Galicia is
Yeah, yeah,
completely, I mean, it's the best bread in the world. It is so good.
yeah. It is.
And there's a lot of different varieties.
Yeah,
The bread is just exceptional. It really is. And
yeah,
it's so, it's simple, bread and wine. There's great wines there. A person can just really have a wonderful time with really basic things. It's,
yeah, yeah.
but
And
the
this is
seafood also, I already mentioned the seafood. um, just the variety. There's a ton of shellfish, a lot of different varieties of shellfish that come from the coastal areas right there. Um, it's just, there's so much great seafood. I have to also mention that.
Yeah, it's funny because talking about the food, actually yesterday, talking with another person about the food, I asked the same thing. What is, in your opinion, what is the food you miss the most living here? And she told me the same, the bread. I miss
Really?
the bread. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny in some way because we are trying to have in the States the products of the north of Spain and in Galicia in particular that people miss more, right?
Mm-hmm.
But bread is a challenge
It is.
to
It's
keep
hard to get
here.
it here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I
But
noticed on your website you do have a lot of canned seafood, conservas.
yeah, yeah,
And so, you know, for people who don't know, you know, there's a huge industry in Galicia of taking all these shellfish products and canning them.
yeah.
And so I think here in the United States, we often think of canned fish as, you know, like tuna fish is not very exciting, but, you know, canned shellfish that comes from Galicia it's a totally different thing.
I don't have your vocabulary to explain in the way you do it, but
Yeah.
I was eating the sardines, for example. I
Mm.
remember me when I was a child in the town. It was really amazing the flavor of these cans.
Mhm.
It is. I will send you a sample. I
Ooh,
promise.
I love
Yeah,
it. I'll
yeah,
take it.
yeah, of course. And when are you expecting to go back to visit Galicia and to eat your favorite bread in the world?
Well, it all depends on when, you know, we're coming out of COVID now. So, you know, for people who are listening to this in the future, Spain is not open yet for tourism. So, I think that they're opening like June 7th of this year.
Yeah,
That's what I've
June. Yeah,
heard. Yeah.
yeah,
So that's coming up. That's just next week.
exactly.
Yeah. So I hope to be able to get over there maybe this summer, but maybe in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah. My first trip though, my sister is living in the Azores, so the Portuguese islands.
Yeah,
Açores?
Azores. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So she's living there, so that has to be my first trip. So as soon
Okay,
as
sounds great.
As soon as Portugal is opened up, I'll be
What is
getting.
in your opinion, what is the better combination to fly from a place like yours? You are in Phoenix. What
Mhm.
is your best sorry combination to fly to Galicia?
Well, in the past, so I don't know what flights are going to look like now if there's going to be the frequency that we've seen before, but
Yeah,
usually I had been able to get a flight into London Heathrow
yeah.
on British Airways and then on Vueling from Heathrow to La Coruña.
Okay.
On my way home, I most always had to go through Madrid. So like Madrid and then somewhere in the United States. So if somebody had a lot of time, I would recommend just flying into Madrid and, you know, seeing Madrid, and then maybe taking a train up to Galicia. I think that would be a really nice trip as well. Or renting a car, something like that.
Talking about time, what is in your opinion the time a person from here needs to have a really great experience in Spain or in Galicia?
I mean, for me, 2 weeks
2 weeks,
will make for
okay?
a great experience. I mean, especially if you're going to walk a Camino. So the shorter Camino routes that are only 100 kilometers, or you know,
Yeah,
I think they're all like
yeah,
110 is really what
yeah,
you end up walking. 118. Um, a person who is, you know, fit for walking can do
yeah,
that in like 5 days.
yeah,
And so, you know, 5 or 6 days. And along the way, you know, you get to know the place. You have to get there, you know, a couple of days ahead of time to kind of, you know, acclimate and get to where you're going. And then maybe, you know, a week after that to tour around and see what, you know, to see the different sites. I think that would give a person a really great idea. I've also gone to places for only a week, and I feel like with a week you get to know the area
yeah,
and you more get an idea of, oh, next time I come I want to do this and that and this and that.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I
whatever
agree.
kind of time a person has, really.
Yeah, 7 to 10 days to have a really great first test,
Hmm.
to have a really good first experience, maybe. And
Yeah.
probably, yeah, if you have the time, 15 days, it will
Hmm.
be probably 7 days for Galicia or 7 days for the rest of Spain. Actually,
Hmm.
we are creating a tour. I will share the information, the best of Spain. We are starting in Madrid and
Hmm.
crossing from Madrid to Santiago de Compostela, stopping
Oh,
in the best hotels and wineries and
oh,
restaurants. Yeah,
uh-huh.
from Madrid to the coast.
Oh,
It's around 10 to 12 days.
oh,
So I
perfect.
think that is a kind of experience that people could enjoy,
Oh, wow.
maybe for 2022, with
Nice.
a better situation in Spain and around the world.
Right. Yeah.
What is your advice for next travelers?
For people who are going is to, there's so much advice to give, just to really to not be afraid to, to get out there. Traveling to Galicia especially, and I guess I'm thinking of people who are maybe going to go there to do the Camino, just because I always recommend that. I just think it's such an incredible experience, but to
Uh-huh.
really enjoy all of all of the nature that there is to see, and all of the wonderful people that you're going to meet, and enjoy all of the wonderful food and wine that you're going to come across. It's impossible to not, to not have an incredible time with food and wine and the people there. I mean, really, I think too, the reason that I keep coming back is because I've met people,
Yeah,
and all of the friends that I've made there are just all fantastic. So the Galician people are very warm and inviting, and they're very proud of all of their, of their land, and also of their products. Their wine and their food traditions and that kind of thing.
and they
Um,
love Americans as well.
they do, and they're
Yeah,
surprised. When I'm there, it's always like, "Oh, you're from the United." They maybe think I'm from England, and then I say, "No, United States," and oh, really?
yeah,
And it's interesting too. I live in Arizona, and so they'll ask where I'm from, and I'll say Arizona, and like everybody knows
yeah,
where that is. They're, oh, the Grand
yeah,
Canyon.
yeah.
And Americans don't, wouldn't be able to. Most Americans wouldn't be able to find Galicia on a map.
No, of course not. Of course
Yeah,
not.
yeah, but yeah, definitely Americans are very welcome there for sure.
Well, Penelope,
Yeah,
thank you so much for your time today. Uh, we are really happy to talk with you. I make sure it's not the first, it's the first time, but it will not be
not be the
the,
last.
the last.
Yes.
So thank you for
Yes.
your
Well, thank
time.
you for having me. I've always enjoyed talking about Galicia and food and wine and Camino. So anytime,
Thank you. We will keep in touch. Thank
for
you so
sure.
much.
All right.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
Bye
Gracias a
bye.
ti. Ciao.
Gracias.